What's up guys, welcome back. This is a 1985 Silverado that I got. It's a 3/4 ton. I'm gonna walk you guys around, show you what this thing looks like, show you what kind of shape it's in. Then I'm gonna do a little bit of work on it, dive in and see what I need to fix, what's wrong with it. Other than the body, of course, that's gonna take the longest. But we're gonna work on this, get this thing running and driving, so let's go. Now I have done a little bit on it, just looking at a few things that I thought might be easy that turned out to be hard. And then when I found out what it was actually easy. So let's walk around this thing, take a look at it. I'll go through everything. So this thing is kind of a dud. It is in rough shape. The paint is obviously trashed. The one thing that I really liked about this truck was that there's not many dents. The fenders and hood are straight. The cab is pretty straight. Now it does have kind of typical rust spots on the rockers, so I will have to change out cab corners. The doors are both straight. This bedside and the tailgate are really the only things that are dented on it, so I can replace those. It's in pretty rough shape. The best thing on this thing are the tires. So all this stuff was inside of it. All this stuff that's in the back, it was covered with hay and sticks and twigs. I'm guessing this is a mountain truck or a farm truck or something like that. But I did pull out the seat to vacuum it out, found that the floor was wet and that the floors, both sides, are all rusted. This one's got a hole through it that I'm gonna have to fix. That one's pretty rusted as well, so I ordered 2 new floor pans and I'm gonna get those changed out. I'm gonna get this carpet cleaned up. The dash pad is pretty trashed. Headliner's sagging a bit, but the bones of this truck are relatively decent. It is a Silverado truck and I like that it had the power windows, power locks, the full headliner, all that stuff. So that stuff can be touched up and fixed a bit. I got the seat out sitting here. It has a cover on it. I noticed that it was pretty rough underneath the cover and the carpet was pretty trashed. It had some oil and stuff on it, but I'm gonna hit it with the carpet cleaner and see if I can get some of that stuff out and clean it up. This is the other bedside. I'm gonna have to replace right around this fender where it's rusted. They make patch panels for that, so I'll get one of those ordered after I get the floor done. It does have all the panels for the dash that are off. I have them in the back. Pulling these seat belts out to get that seat out. I did break off a couple seat bolts, so I'm gonna have to drill those out, get some new ones. It came with this big old brush guard on the front. That's gonna have to go, but let's take a look under the hood. So the dude that had it before me put this carburetor on it, trying to get it to run. Got it running, fired up. This is an emissions truck and I live in a state where emissions is required on this year of trucks. That's kind of gonna be a headache trying to get all the exhaust leaks in this thing fixed and dialed in with all that emissions stuff still on there. When I went to look at this thing, the only way to start it was by jumping that starter with a screwdriver. It wouldn't start with the key. It would turn off with the key, but it wouldn't start with the key. That's the thing I was mentioning in the beginning about trying to look into stuff that might be easy. So I started digging in, making sure wires were good that go into the starter and everything. Everything checked out. I did pull the dash apart and replace the ignition switch, thinking that was the problem. Because when I pulled it apart, it looked a little burnt, some of the contacts in there and stuff. Swapped that out, hit the key, nothing. Back on the search, I thought it may be the fusible links down on the starter. Turned out not to be those. So after about, I don't know, 6 hours of tinkering with this over 2 days, I was digging under the dash. This truck's an 85. It's supposed to have a clutch safety switch on that clutch pedal to not let you start that truck if the clutch isn't pushed in. I didn't see one under there, so I thought maybe the interweb was lying to me. But I was putting this thing back together for the second time, and way back up in there behind the light switch, a little connector fell out. And it had this little jumper in the connector to bypass that clutch switch. One side was hanging out, so I pulled it out, kind of crimped up a new one just to get me by. I will probably try and find a clutch switch and put in this, but threw that in, fired right up. Like I mentioned, it does have quite a few exhaust leaks, so I'm going to have to address those here in the near future. But I do want to do a compression test on this thing, see what the engine is like. It does leak out of the rear main seal and stuff like that, so I'm going to compression test it, see if everything checks out. If it does, I may just buy a seal kit, pull that engine, reseal it so nothing leaks, fix the exhaust leaks, and go from there on tidying up the body and stuff with some patch panels and things like that. Another thing I'm gonna have to address is the gas tank on this side. It's got the saddlebag tanks. You can see that cover is hanging down underneath. It's just a plastic cover over the tank. Some models have these. And I pulled this thing down and it's full of mud, full of crud, big old hole in the tank. So I'm gonna have to look into getting a new tank for that side and see if I can figure that out. So back under the hood where I'm gonna start doing a compression test and stuff, you can see there's vacuum lines laying everywhere. The stud's broken off in the carburetor to hold the air cleaner on. There's no oil cap. The breather's out of the valve covers, or this one's just floating, not plugged into anything. I know that'll go into the air cleaner box. But when we did start this up, this heater hose that goes right here into the top of the block was spewing coolant everywhere. So I got a replacement heater hose that I'm gonna throw in. Got an air cleaner. We're gonna do a compression test, see how it looks. If it looks like the engine's in good shape, I'll do a full tune-up on it. Plugs, wires, cap, rotor, all that kind of stuff. Get it running good. So that's gonna be the project for the day, so let's get going. guys, just got the heater hose replaced, did a compression test on all the cylinders, and I got a little bad news. Cylinder number 5 on the driver's side over here, 0 compression, not even a little bit. All the others were around 103, 104. That one, 0, nothing showed up on the gauge. Let me show you these spark plugs I pulled out. So this is an order that they came out if the front of the truck was up here. Cylinder 1357 2468. Now all of them, I don't know if you can see this, all of them have some black on them. There's a couple that have the nice brownish look like that one that you want. But cylinder number 5, this one has like soot on it. You can see there's soot on it. Yeah, a couple of the others are a little bit black, but they don't have soot on them like this one. With the short amount of time that I've driven this thing, I drove it around the block, drove it on my trailer, and drove it in this garage. There wasn't any indication that it had low compression. I didn't suspect it. There's no banging around there. There's no clanking. I'm not sure if it's burning coolant. Like I said, I haven't driven it enough. But I think if it was a ring problem, there would be at least a little bit of compression. So I'm not sure what I'm diving into here. I may pull that valve cover, see if there's a valve stuck open, see if anything is off with the valve springs or something like that. Something simple that I could just pull the head and get that fixed. If not, it may be a cracked piston. So maybe I'll pull that valve cover, check that out, and then I'll drain the oil out of it, see if anything comes out in the oil. But that's kind of where I'm at with the engine side of this thing. Like I said, it ran fine other than the loud exhaust leaks that this thing has. So I'm going to throw these spark plugs back in, get the plug wires all put back on so I don't have to retrace them later. All right, guys, I went back to work on this, ran over to my local Vato zone and got a bore scope to scope that cylinder. Scoped it out, and it looks like there's been some contact with a valve on the piston. There's some scratches on the piston. I'll try and roll in a shot here. Quality wasn't very good on the little video monitor thing, but I took a few pictures. You can see right there where that valve relief is, that there's a little bit of scarring and stuff. I didn't see any chunks in there, but like I said, the quality on the screen on that loaner tool wasn't the best. So I think I'm done messing with the engine. To pull it out, fix it cheaply, it's not just gonna stop there because I'm gonna wanna do more to it. I'm gonna wanna, do both sides, replace rings, do a lot of other things while I'm in there because of the time and effort it's gonna take. So I may just start shopping for a good used engine or do an LS swap or something like that in this. So that's where I'm at with the engine in this thing. I'm keeping my options open, watching the classifieds, stuff like that. Make sure you stay tuned because I got new floor pans coming, new fender wells coming. I'm gonna be ripping those old ones out that are all rusted that I showed you and getting new ones welded in so we can get going on some other stuff. I am also keeping my eye out for a lot of other stuff that I need for this thing and try and get this project rolling. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and we'll see you next time.